Let's take a look at the D1 baseball preseason All Americans. First off, behind the plate, Luke Shigler from Maryland. Talk about a stud behind the plate. Next up, Nick Kurtz at first base. He's gonna rake this year, and he might be the ACC Player of the Year this year. Tommy Troy, Pac-12 Player of the Year candidate if I've ever seen one. He is solid over at Stanford. Jacob Wilson, another super solid player, huge draft prospect this year. Braden Taylor from TCU, another super solid player for TCU. I mean, he's got player of the year written all over him, in my opinion. Dylan Cruz in left field, draft prospect, the draft prospect. Next up, Vance Honeycutt was electric last year. So much pop, and he's only a sophomore this year. Next up, outfielder Wyatt Langford. He's definitely a stud. Langford was a huge, he's just going to be a huge guy for Florida this year. Um, and then utility Paul Skeens, but he's also an arm for LSU. He's their big arm. This is the preseason All Americans on the mound. Chase Burns, Chase Dolander. The Chase pairing over at Tennessee is insane. I expect them to be the best rotation in college baseball this year. And then Tanner Hall at Southern Miss, another star. Another guy from Southern Miss is Hurston Waldrop, but Waldrop transferred out of Southern Miss to be at Florida, and he is an upper 90s lefty. Rhett Lauder could end up being the best pitcher in the country this year. Paul Skeens, another candidate for that. I think Dolander, Lauder, and Skeens are the big three. And then the two big guys in the pen, Andrew Walters and Ryan Bruno. I mean, both studs at Miami and Stanford, respectively. Next up, let's look at the second team. Behind the plate, Michael Carrico, a dog from Davidson. Carter Graham over at first. You're seeing a lot of Stanford players. Stanford has a big time team this year. Second base, Christian Knapsick, stud out of Louisville. Jacob Gonzalez at shortstop for Ole Miss, another big time draft prospect. Expect a lot out of a guy like Jacob Gonzalez. Jake Geloff from Virginia is going to lead one of the best offenses in the country at UVA. Ryan Lasco from Rutgers, mid-major, small school, but that's a stud. Expect to see him in the draft buzz and type stuff. Jack Hurley at Virginia Tech, another fire-powered offense. Expect him to be a leader there. Enrique Battlefield Jr., he's going to swipe maybe 60 bags. If he can get that home run number up to like 10, just expect so much from Enrique Bradfield Jr. And then Nolan McLean at Oklahoma State, another stud, along with Matt Shaw. And then, so like that utility spot is the pitcher slash hitter type of guy. Hunter Elliott at Ole Miss, he's going to lead that Ole Miss rotation, which is definitely going to be a good one. Carter Holton at Vandy, he's going to lead that Vandy rotation, which is certainly going to be a good one. Will Sanders at South Carolina, Jason Savacool. They've got a second-team All-American on the bump and a first-team All-American behind the plate over at Maryland. Watch out for them. Warren Watts-Brown at Oklahoma State. Will Previtt out of the College of Charleston, and Brady Tygart in the bullpen, and Nolan McLean, another stud hitter and pitcher. Next up, the big guys on this are obviously up the middle. Everyone knows Rock Riggio, everyone knows Maui Uhana, and everyone knows Kyle Teal. So those are all the big-time studs on this third team, in my opinion. CJ Kafis at Miami is a stud, and Yohani Morales. Like, you've got a big time up the middle, and then you've got Miami on the corners on this third team All-American squad. Braden Montgomery pitches 2 out of Stanford. Austin Bose, stud DH. Chase Davis, big time outfielder, along with Carlos Contreras from Sam Houston, and Nolan Chanel from FAU. Last group to look at, Camden Minacci at Wake Forest is a stud. And I think he's going to be a big guy for them this year because I think they're certainly a World Series contending team. Drew Beam at Tennessee, Drew Hackenberg at Virginia Tech is a stud. Cade Cooler, Campbell is such a sleeper team. They always perform well. Quinn Matthews at Stanford and Levi Wells. And then you've got Ben Ferrer at Oregon State as a reliever. But Levi Wells, Texas State, don't sleep on Texas State. One of those mid-majors that I definitely think could have a big year this year. Thanks for watching the D1 Baseball Preseason All-American. Just taking a deep dive.